Welcome back. You watch Morning Live now. On the 22nd and 23rd of November, classic cars and rare number plates will be going under the hammer in Sandton. Petrolheads will have an opportunity to bid for vehicles ranging from a 1959 soft-top Chevrolet Corvette to a 1965 Ford Mustang Convertible owned by the late former South African cricket captain Clive Rice. Now, for more details on this auction, we are joined by Anton Welz. He's a specialist at Stephan Welz Co, and he joins us from our Cape Town studio. Anton, good morning. Thank you very much for joining us. Maybe for all the petrol heads that have just put the audio louder on their devices, how did this auction come about?
Morning, Sam. We hold 6 auctions a year, 3 in Cape Town, 3 in Joburg, and we always try and get a couple of nice collectible cars, particularly for the Johannesburg market. Jack Roosevelt, who's our car specialist, has been quite busy collecting a number of cars. And just to correct you, the Clive Rice car is actually an AC Cobra replica, which Clive raced. The Mustang is a gorgeous motor car, but it's not Clive's one.
Let's talk about just this idea of classic cars and being collectible. In our minds, it's only a certain demographic that's into this kind of vehicle. But I can only imagine from my 22-year-old cousin who's crazy about classic cars that maybe that's a little bit of a myth.
I think the demographic who collect cars, it ranges right across the spectrum, but I think when you get to the kind of vehicle that's going to be on the sale, it's a collectible car of this nature is an international currency. It's something that collectors all over the world would like to get involved with, and I can give you a classic example of a 190 SL Mercedes we sold in our Cape Town sale last year in February, bought by a Monaco-based collector who has a house in Cape Town, and between the time he purchased the car in February and November last year, it had doubled in value.
Wow. Maybe one of the other myths is also is that from a South African perspective, where do we kind of feature in that classic car investment perspective or standpoint? Where do we feature? If you compare, my recent memory is if you think of people like Jay Leno, who are well known internationally for collecting classic cars, yes. But he's not the only one. There's a couple of other major celebs that are into classic cars.
I think our market is obviously very, very much smaller, but there are a number of serious car collectors in this country, both from a sort of, let's say, vintage perspective as well as a very modern perspective. There are a number of people who put an enormous amount of money into their vehicle collection and who hold collections of 20, 30, 40 or more vehicles. But in international terms, it's quite a small market. But I think one of the things that we need to guard against is international collectors coming to South Africa, purchasing the vehicles and exporting them, because the currency is in their favor and it suits them to come here and buy with a pound or a dollar and take the vehicles out and trade them overseas.
And then I would love for you to define that term classic car, because my director's got an old little thing that's messed up in his garage, and in his mind that's a classic car. Define that for me very quickly. What is the definition of a classic car?
Age has a bearing on it, rarity has a bearing, collectability has a bearing. So I don't know if you remember the old Mazda Rotary, which is not really that old. Yeah. That's become a collectible motor car. By the same token, a 1911 Rolls-Royce is also a collectible and a classic motor car. So the spectrum is quite broad. I think it's the rarity and the collectability of it which add to the value. Age does not necessarily equal value, and that's something you need to remember. Particularly in the American market, American cars they're very collectible, but they don't hold great value, where by the same token, LaFerrari, which is, I think, produced last year or this year, is incredibly collectible because they only made 500 of them. So it's a 2016 model, but it's incredibly rare and collectible as it rolls off the production line.
You're also under the hammer putting rare number plates. Talk to me about that.
Yes. Fabulous collection, single owner collection, numbers GP1 through to 8. GP9 is owned by Just van der Westhuizen, so that's not going to be on as part of the collection. But yes, GP1 to 8, and we're expecting a lot of interest in those plates, particularly GP1. And I think we've put an estimate of around about 400,000 on it, and we seriously hope that it does that kind of money, because that's something particularly rare and collectible.
Anton, if I hear you correctly, somebody's going to pay 400,000 rand for a number plate.
We sold CA3 in 2006 or 7 in Johannesburg for 378,000 to a Cape Town-based collector. So GP1 has got to be in the same kind of price range.
Anton, we're going to leave it there. You've made me speechless. I can't imagine paying 400,000 rand for a number plate. Okay, Anton Welz, he's a specialist at Stephan Welz Co. It's an upcoming auction, and he's talking, of course, of the upcoming auction for classic cars and rare number plates set to take place